Scientists finally solved the Roman dodecahedron mystery, and it's worse than we thought. What's going on, guys? It's me. Number 12. In the last century, archaeologists have uncovered many artifacts from the Roman Empire: statues, weapons, jewelry, coins, even robots. But perhaps the most intriguing of these artifacts are the Roman dodecahedrons. These are 12-sided die found all across the empire from Spain to Turkey to England. They were made between the 1st century BC and the 3rd century AD. That's 2,000 years ago. The problem is no one knows what they actually did. We know that the Romans used regular dice for games of chance, but the dodecahedron has too many sides for that. You couldn't possibly calculate the odds with so many possibilities. There had to be some kind of mechanical advantage to using it, something like a computer chip or a gear system. But no one could figure out how. It was assumed that the dodecahedrons were some kind of ancient Roman cryptocurrency, but that didn't make sense either. If you wanted to use them as money, you'd need to know the value of each one. And because there are so many sides, it would be really hard to keep track of which die is worth how much. Then again, we don't know for sure that they even are die. Maybe they're just some kind of children's toy or a piece of decorative jewelry. But there's one thing that all the experts agree on: these artifacts are not what they seem. There's something inside of them that we haven't found yet. The only question is, what? Well, scientists finally have an answer. Researchers at the University of Göttingen in Germany recently used X-ray technology to peer inside these mysterious artifacts without even opening them up. What they found was absolutely insane. It turns out that the Roman dodecahedrons aren't just hollow metal spheres. They're hollow metal spheres with gears inside of them. But that still doesn't explain anything. Why would the Romans put a bunch of gears inside of a metal ball? Well, to find out, the researchers took their investigation one step further. They created 3D models of the gear systems inside of these artifacts, and then they started turning them. And that's when they realized what they had stumbled upon. The gears inside of these Roman dodecahedrons are arranged in such a way that they can calculate the odds of any game of chance. You see, the Romans loved to gamble. They would bet on everything from chariot races to gladiator fights to the outcome of entire battles. But they weren't very good at math. So they needed some kind of mechanical device to do the calculations for them. This is why they developed the dodecahedron, a mechanical calculator that could tell them the odds of any event. The only problem is that we don't know exactly how the Romans used it. Maybe they just used it to calculate odds for games like roulette or blackjack. Or maybe they used it for more nefarious purposes like predicting the outcome of a rigged fight or ensuring the fairness of an election. Now, this is just speculation, but I think we're onto something here. The Roman Empire wasn't just a time of great leaders and epic poetry. It was also a time of great deception and political intrigue. The Senate was constantly embroiled in scandal and corruption, and the emperors were notorious for their paranoia and cruelty. Maybe the Romans used the dodecahedrons to rig elections, to ensure that the most qualified candidate always won. Or maybe they used it to determine the outcome of gladiatorial combat, to make sure that the crowds were always entertained. Just a thought. But what do you think? How do you think the Romans used the dodecahedrons? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.